Welcome to episode 102 of the Loane Hockey Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about some standouts between Chicago and Minnesota yesterday. And really great game by Chicago in their home opener. And they did a great job. They won 4-2 and they dominated for a majority of the game, pushed the pace for most of the game, and they were on top of San Jose for most of the game. And they had a lot of really good efforts from all across their lineup, and we want to talk about Connor Bedard once again, obviously, because in his playmaking ability, there was some hidden deception in how he's able to utilize it. So he was selling plays with his eyes, he was selling passing lanes with his eyes, he was able to open up sequences individually with his eyes, and he really stood out in terms of being able to generate volume in his playmaking, and that really allowed him to control the pace in the ozone. And on the power play, the Hawks had a lot of power play sequences in this game throughout every period, and I believe they have multiple in the final two periods in terms of power plays. So he was out there a lot and he thrived. And Teuvo Teravainen, another guy, 2 assists for both Bedard and Teravainen. And Tavo's been a guy that's gelled really well with this team to start the season, and it's no surprise considering he's drafted by the Hawks to start. And to where he is now in his career, now he's at a point where he's back with the Hawks. He can play a top line role and play even more minutes than he did when he was last with the Hawks. So it's a good situation for him. It's worked out really nicely so far, and he's been a key producer. And a lot of the bottom sixers stood out, and Jason Dickinson was really good. Joey Anderson was really good. Thought on the back end, Nolan Allen drew into the lineup once again this game, and this was his first time playing since he played their opening game against Utah. And he looked good. He looked comfortable with the puck once again. Thing is with him is he's very relied upon as a puck transporter, but he's very calm and serene in how he's able to execute decisions with the puck. And he keeps passes flat. He's able to move pucks up ice with his vision and his heads up awareness. And he's able to understand with a lot of poise how to execute passes in many different settings. And so he was really good. And then Wyatt Kaiser's been really good. He was the guy that actually took Allen out of the lineup. So Kaiser drew in that second game, and he's been really good ever since. And he's been a guy that's played a top four role. He's adjusted seamlessly. He's moved the puck really well. He's made really good stretch plays and really good outlet passes on a diagonal on breakout situations. So being able to make diagonal passes that were within the neutral zone as well. And ozone, he's not necessarily relied upon much. He's not an ozone guy, nor a power play guy that much, but he's a guy that stands out all across the board in terms of defensive details, surfing, angling, being able to kill plays with positional instincts. So he's been good this season thus far. And Tyler Bertuzzi looked really good yesterday. This was the best game he's had all season thus far. And he scored a goal in this game. He looked really good. He looked really competitive. He was forechecking with his regular tenacity that you'd see in previous seasons. The checking details are a large part of his game, and they were a large part of his game when he was coming up through the AHL to the NHL. He had to work his way up and become an offensive contributor over time in the NHL. It wasn't something where he was an offensive contributor right away. He was more of a bottom six guy and eventually worked his way up. And you notice a little bit of everything from him. You notice two-way play, you notice checking details, you notice forechecking, you notice how he angle plays down. Neutral zone forecheck was sound, how he's able to kill plays in D zone situations on the wall and stuff like that. He's very detailed in his checking game. It stands out the most when it comes to him. And it's always, like I said, it's always been a part of his game. It's always been there, and it will always continue to help him. And one more is Seth Jones. I thought Seth Jones looked really good, and he was really moving well. His feet were moving really well. He's looked really good to start the season. I believe he's been point per game to start the season in terms of production, and I believe those are all assists right now, though. At the same time, offensively, he looks good. He looks sound. He's moving pucks really well in power play situations. Yesterday, he was moving the puck really quickly on the power play, so it allowed him to control pace, control possession in his favor. Then one other player I wanted to talk about, Taylor Hall, has been electrifying. He was electrifying in this game. He looked really good too. And we could talk about Nick Foligno, that's another guy, but Taylor Hall is another player who he's looking to bounce back and be a consistent offensive threat in his career once again. And this is certainly a place to do it in Chicago because he's almost guaranteed a top six role with this team. And you know you have to rely on him for scoring more than anything else. You can't rely on him much for defensive play. He's not very reliable defensively. He's not very reliable as a goal scorer. He did score yesterday, but he's more reliable as a playmaker. That's always been a strong point in his game and every team he's been on, whether it's Jersey, whether it's Buffalo, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Edmonton, all the teams that he's been on, he's always made plays at a high level. Those playmaking elements are what are going to make him the most effective if he's able to maintain that. I don't envision him being an elite scorer, but an elite playmaker, yes. So he was really good. San Jose's side, William Eklund looked really good. He's been awesome to start the season and a guy who is a key playmaker. He makes and generates gritty plays around the crease. This could be loose puck rebound opportunities. This could be trying to follow up on shots. This could be playmaking, whatever it may be. He always stands out in those different elements when it comes to being able to generate offense. And he is a guy that makes plays really well through sticks. I've noticed that a lot. He's really good at slipping pucks through defenders' sticks, being able to hook passes around defenders, stuff like that. Little plays that can draw defenders' sticks in and can fool them a little bit. Mikael Granlund, another guy who looks like he's getting back to regular scoring form, like he started his career in Minnesota. When he was with Minnesota, he was scoring at a top six level consistently every season. And ever since he left Minnesota, things changed pretty fast. But now Granlund's a guy who looks like he's back to that form, and his playmaking stands out, his skating stands out, his ability to link the two together simultaneously have stood out, and how he's able to control possession, how he's able to control the walls, control perimeter sequences. He's been really good for San Jose, not only this season but last season. Tyler Toffoli, Fabian Zetterlund, two other guys. Fabian Zetterlund's pretty similar to Granlund, so we won't talk much about him. Ever since being acquired by New Jersey, though, he's been really good for the Sharks. Tyler Toffoli has been really good to start the season after being signed by San Jose to support Macklin Celebrini in the summer, and a really good complementary top six winger who can score goals. And he's scored goals to start the season. He's been one of their leading scorers. I believe their leading scorer right now, if not around there. And Toffoli's been excellent as a scorer, being able to score around the crease, being able to score from far, generate shot volume, generate goals from interior space, stuff along those lines. He's been very effective, and he's been all across the board effective thus far. And Will Smith looked better yesterday. He's had a slower start to the season, and it's going to be more of an adjustment period for him. But there'll come a point where he'll be able to adjust a little bit better and be able to get to scoring form. And key playmaker, though, that's the biggest asset and component to his game is his playmaking and how he's able to weaponize that, how he's able to make plays through small seams, make lateral plays, and be able to generate volume on his playmaking. That's really key. He's going to be a key prospect and key player down the line for the Sharks. Barclay Goodrow, another guy that stood out, checking details, somewhat similar to what I mentioned previously with Bertuzzi in terms of checking details. Very detailed checker, very detailed in how he angles guys off from forecheck, very detailed in how he's in pursuit of pucks. And you're going to rely on him more for his checking than his scoring, and also his winning pedigree as well. That's another big component to his game. He started his tenure in San Jose. Now he's back in San Jose the second time around. So it'd be interesting to see if things change this time. And Carl Grunstrom was one more I wanted to get to. And a guy who can score, but he can also make plays. He's a little bit of a dual threat, but he's above average in terms of skill. Not necessarily flashy by any means, but I like his power frame and how he's able to use his speed and power to get around opponents and use puck protection to get around opponents as well. He's a guy that he plays along the perimeter really well, and he really controls the perimeter of the ice using his frame. and that's what allows him to control many different situations and be able to generate offense out of those scenarios as well.